Welcome to Shorr Solutions, the podcast, and I'm your host, Jay Shorr, CEO and founder of Shorr Solutions. We are a team of national and award-winning practice management consultants with experience running a multi-million-dollar cosmetic dermatology and plastic surgery practice. We're here to share strategies and insights that will help you grow your practice efficiently and profitably. In each episode, we'll explore the steps and actionable insights to guide you through your journey to increase efficiency, boost revenue, and decrease costs. Tune in and discover how to improve your patient experience and take your aesthetic practice to the next level.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Shorr Solutions, the podcast. My name is Paige Hamilton. I'm the Marketing and Advertising Manager here at Shorr Solutions, and today I will be your host for this episode. Today, we will be concluding our series called Inside Shorr Solutions. With this final episode, we will be interviewing Ana Suarez, who is a partner and our Director of Client Development. So welcome, Ana, to this episode.
Thank you, Paige. I'm so happy to be here and just looking forward to our episode together.
Absolutely. And if you haven't had the chance to tune into our prior episodes in this series, the goal is just we wanted to share who we are with you, our loyal podcast listeners, whether you are just beginning your search for a practice management consultant, or if you're one of our current or past clients. We just want to give you a chance to get to know everyone on our team on a deeper level. So we've been sharing our journeys, our philosophies, and the lessons that we've learned along our way throughout our careers. So Ana, can you get the conversation started and let all of us know what is your role at Shorr Solutions and what does your day-to-day look like?
Yes, sure. So I am the Director of Client Development here at Shorr Solutions, and I have been with the company for over 6 years already. And pretty much my role is a little bit of everything. I work on the client strategy and just helping them with their services, the operational leadership, and the team development as well. And so basically, it's not only working with the clients and helping them with their marketing plans or human resources strategies, overseeing their accounts and making sure they're happy with our services. But it's also leading our team internally, having meetings, managing the workload of the team, making sure that all of you and everyone in the team has all of the necessary tools to get their work done, and also coaching as well. So it is a little bit of everything, and it's very fun because every day is different and there's something new that we're working on every day, every week. So that's kind of like my role in a nutshell.
Yes, and you do a lot to keep the team running, and we always come up with bunch of ideas and are trying to constantly improve. So you kind of help manage all of that as well. What is your favorite part about working with clients? Because obviously you do a lot of the internal side, but your role started from the client side. So what is your favorite part about working with the clients?
So my favorite part is watching them going from overwhelmed or unsure about what it is that they have to do to being more confident and being empowered. Many practice owners and administrators, they wear multiple hats, kind of like what I do here, right? I do a little bit of everything. And so they often feel very overwhelmed and, they need to step back and kind of like reflect on what it is that they're working on. And so just helping them to feel more calm and to feel, that there's more clarity with their plans, with what they're doing moving forward is very fulfilling to me. And I also love the relationship side of it as I work with them and I get to learn more about their business, their goals, their strategies. And I help them put processes in place and help them with the operations as well. I get to know them as individuals. And so just building and developing those relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we get too far, we'll get into all of your great advice that you have for everyone listening. But I kind of want to take a step back and reflect on your career and how you got started as well with Shorr Solutions. So you began in marketing, and now obviously, as we've mentioned, you're more on the HR side as well, the internal side. Can you talk about what that evolution has looked like for you and then what you've learned along the way?
Yes, and that's really interesting because as you mentioned, I did start here at Shorr Solutions and my career in general in marketing. I have always been driven to the creative side of things, but also the people side of the business as well. And so when I joined Shorr Solutions, I started as a marketing manager. And so it was a lot about putting strategies in place for the company, starting the e-newsletter. I remember back then our social media didn't have as much engagement and, we didn't have as many followers. So just kind of like working on putting those processes in place. But before I even realized it, I started working with clients on the marketing side of their business. And I fell in love with it because I was just learning about the industry, about their practices, their human resources side of things. And as I mentioned, I've always loved interacting and working with people. So I saw the opportunity for me to expand my skills and also my impact with the practices. And I eventually became a recruiter for a lot of the practices, also helping them with their human resources operations, the onboarding process as well. And I feel that it's very fulfilling because I've always had that curiosity on the people's side of things and how to like help them with their businesses. And so with medical practices, that's a huge area where a lot of the practice owners or even the practice administrators, they need help, they need support, they need guidance. And so I felt very happy that I was able to grow and, the team let me move on to like a different type of role. And so from a marketing manager, I became the marketing manager for the practices, but also the human resources support for many of the practices. And it has been an amazing process. I have learned a lot, but I've also helped the practices to evolve, to grow, and to take care of their teams because that's very important.
Yeah, that's definitely, they go hand in hand, especially with your experience. You started out initially in your career, if I'm remembering right, in like hospitality, hotels, you worked for Universal. So I feel like there's definitely, we always tell our clients, you want the 5-star hotel, Ritz-Carlton experience. So that definitely does translate into, your marketing as well as your HR. How has that experience that you gained early on in your career working in that industry now helped you translate to helping our clients with that side of their business?
Yes, that's a great question, Paige. And there's a lot of things in common, coming from the hospitality industry, with the hotels, the theme parks, and then transitioning to the healthcare industry. And there's a lot of things in common, especially when it comes to the patient experience. So making sure that they feel cared for, that you're listening to them, and there's clarity in the processes that you have in your own practices. So just kind of like translating those skills with the patient, the customer in mind. The customer always comes first, making sure that you're fulfilling their needs. And not only that, but also anticipating what it is that they're going to be needing. If they have any concerns or any questions, making sure that you are knowledgeable enough to provide them with answers. And if you don't know, then just provide suggestions or go and find out and then come back with a solution or with some type of suggestion that they can apply.
Yeah, that's great. And something that I kind of just thought about as you were talking and mentioning, making sure that they're delivering this good patient experience. What would you say to someone who, and I think this kind of goes hand in hand with maybe like a practice manager, practice administrator, someone who would have more of the equivalent to your role in our business where you are juggling a couple hats, you have the manager role. What would you say to them if they came to you and they were like, I'm struggling with this, I don't have the time? What would be your advice to them to be able to manage and juggle all those things and manage their priorities in a way that the practice is improving, but they're also not getting burnt out by running a million miles an hour every single day?
Yes, and there's a lot, when you're a practice owner or practice administrator, there's so many responsibilities that you have. And so what I would say is that you must put systems in place, making sure that there is a process for things so that you don't have to be reinventing the wheel every single time. Just chaos is very exhausting. And so structure creates energy. So just putting those processes in place early on is going to save you a lot of headaches and a lot of time later on. Also, I would say delegating sooner than you even feel ready. A lot of the practice owners they feel that they have to do everything themselves. And that's not necessarily the case. I mean, when you first start, yes, there's a lot of things that are up to, it's the responsibility of the practice owner to do and to work on those. But as soon as you can, just kind of like trying to get some type of support, whether that's some consultants on your side or maybe, an administrative assistant that can help you, just kind of like getting that support and putting your team together, a team that is aligned with your vision and your goals is critical. And last but not least, kind of like what you mentioned, that you just can't support your staff, you can't support patients if you're feeling drained and exhausted all the time. So making sure that you understand that even just taking some time for resting and having your own clarity and just time to like reflect on things, that's not a luxury. That's something that is needed in order for you to have that energy to come back to the workplace, to come back to your business and give the best version of yourself to others.
Let's take a quick break. I want to tell you about our Conversion Cascade 2.0 online course. In just a few hours, you and your team will learn how to attract more patients, convert more consults, and turn new leads into loyal patients, all at your own pace. Along with lifetime access, you'll receive downloadable tools such as phone scripts, marketing checklists, and conversion tracking tools to help improve your sales and customer service skills. And as a special thank you for being a podcast listener, use code PODCAST to get 20% off. Click the link in the show notes to sign up today.
Ana, I want to turn this back to you so that way our audience can maybe have an example. What do you personally like to do to, take that time and kind of recharge and keep yourself grounded?
Yes, I personally have a family. I have children, and I just love spending time with them. They make me really happy. They're very creative. And so I enjoy doing that outside of work. Also, just nature in general. I like taking walks early in the morning and just looking at the trees, the flowers. It just automatically relaxes me. And also just kind of like keep developing myself. I'm usually curious, especially when it comes to like the human resources side of things, and even marketing, because it's very creative and it's always changing. So I just like to read and listen to podcasts that they discuss like the new developments, or sometimes they have like case studies about how they resolve a situation. And so I just like to keep evolving and learning. So I would say anything that just gets you excited, that relaxes you, and it could be anything and everything. And those moments are so important because those are the ones that then give you the energy and the creativity that is needed to solve all of the day-to-day issues that come up at your practice or in your business.
Mm-hmm. We both live in Florida, so something that's been really nice recently is the weather has been cool. So even for me, just being able to open like the window in my office and just have like the nice breeze come in and I can hear the birds chirping outside, even something as simple as that, like you said, going on walks, just taking a moment to enjoy the little simplicities can definitely help you recharge.
And that's very important. Like I said, it's not a luxury, it's something that is needed. And then also always thinking you just can't do everything yourself. At some point, you're going to have to delegate and trust, your team and the people that surround you to do what they need to do and to help you to make your vision a reality.
Absolutely. You mentioned, not being able to do everything yourself and making sure you have the right team in place. So I want to kind of shift our conversation to a big milestone that happened this past year. So if you've listened to prior episodes already, you may know what I'm about to say, but at the beginning of the year, as of January 1st, Ana was made partner with Shorr Solutions. So Ana, I want to talk about that a little bit. And can you take us back to the moment where, Jay told you he wanted to make you partner, and just what did that mean to you? What were you feeling in that moment?
Yes. Becoming a partner, it was definitely an amazing accomplishment because it really represented how far I've come and how much I've grown over the years. From when I first started back in marketing all the way to getting involved with human resources and then practice operations. and then, managing the team and now becoming a partner, right? In addition to being the director of client development. And so I felt that my dedication, my hard work, and skills that had been evolving all throughout these years, they were being recognized and they came to fruition. And then it also helped me to kind of like go on to the next level within like leadership, because one thing is to be a manager, another thing is to be a director, and then something completely different it is to be a partner. It's almost like your mindset changes from, the mindset of an employee to a business owner type of way of seeing things. And so it has been a pretty enlightening and helpful experience that I really enjoy. But in a nutshell, it's one of the biggest accomplishments that I've had in my career, just being recognized for all of the dedication, the skills, the hard work, and getting that trust from senior leadership as well.
Yeah, it's definitely not something to take lightly being offered partnership. And I know I've heard Jay say it before, that you want to make sure you're recruiting staff that has that mindset already and that those are the type of people who will treat your practice like it's their own. So, you're not just coming to work. You want to improve the business. You want to put your best effort in because, maybe down the line you will get rewarded for it. And in your case, partnership is a very great recognition to receive. So
yes, it is. And it is a great opportunity because, as I mentioned, it's really different as you progress throughout your career, first becoming a manager, then a director. Then some people don't become partners, but maybe they become a senior director or a VP of operations or marketing. And so each of those roles, they bring you to that next level. And you said it right. You do have to make sure that you're hiring the right people, that they have the right potential. Are they motivated? Do they go the extra mile whenever you give them a project? Do they communicate well? And of course, you also have to be very conscious that you have to be developing your team because people need guidance. And, none of us are perfect. We're all in this same journey where we're growing. We want to do more of whatever it is that we like and that we enjoy. And as a business owner, you do have to identify those people, what are their strengths, and then you also have to do the work. And you have to be like, okay, I definitely have to spend time with them. I have to coach them. I have to ask them how it is that they're doing, how they're feeling, and how we can help them keep evolving and growing as professionals.
Okay, so I have one more question for you, Ana. So what piece of advice would you give, to either practice owners or managers, administrators, anyone in a role that needs to be able to adapt their communication style, leadership style? What advice would you give them to adapt it to who they're leading and who they're working with?
Yes, I think, and I'm glad that you're asking this because I know many times business owners are always thinking about their KPIs and the metrics and did we meet the goal? But what they need to realize is that, again, you can't do these things just on your own. You have to put together a really good team that helps you to make your ideas and your visions into the reality. And with that, you have to understand that these are people just like you are. And so you have to understand what are their motivations, what it is that they're trying to achieve in their own personal lives, and what it is that it drives them. Because once you understand that, then you'll be able to speak their language. You'll be able to speak to what it is that lights them up and that drives their performance. So maybe you don't speak to your patient care coordinator the same way that you speak to maybe one of the providers, because everyone has a different personality. Everybody has a different drive and different goals that they want to achieve. And in the process, they'll see that you really care about them, that you're really helping them. And so in turn, they'll do the same for you.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because earlier this year, we all took a personality test. And there's a ton of them out there. There's a bunch of free websites. The one we used was the 16personalities.com. And everyone on our team just took a fun little quiz. You answer a couple questions and it gives you your personality. And then if you do it in the team version, it'll tell you who is compatible with what other person on the team. And then even if you don't do it that way, if you just purely have everyone take it, it's still interesting to see like what other personality types you're compatible with, which ones you may not be as compatible with. And it'll tell you like different working styles, which obviously you have to take with that it might not be 100% accurate, but that definitely was a fun activity that we all did. And then, I put everything together, sent it to the team, and it was really interesting for everyone to be able to see who gets along and who maybe butts heads when they're working a little bit more. And it's interesting to then see that in meetings as well. So, that would also be something that's team bonding, but then also, as Ana was getting at, is you have to make sure that you're speaking to what their communication style and what their personality is. So
it's true. Everybody has a different communication style. There's people that they just want you to come to them with the facts and straight to the point, and that's kind of that. But then there's other people that if that's how you speak with them, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this person is dry, or this person doesn't care about me. And so for that other type of personality, you might have to, kind of like ask about how they're feeling, how's their family, and then getting to what it is that you wanted to kind of like communicate. Obviously, sometimes we don't have the time for that, but as leaders, we have to make sure that then we either schedule the time later on, or we just keep it in mind, because you don't have to have a full-on conversation.
And one more question, Ana, that I have that everyone so far on the team has answered is, what do you hope that your legacy will be within the company, with your career, and with the clients?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that my legacy is that I want people to remember me by knowing that I somehow made their lives easier and that they felt seen and heard, whether that was like a business problem that they had, or it was something more on the personal side, because, we all need coaches and advice at some point, right? And so I just want to make sure that they feel that I supported them, that I understood them, and that I did the best that I could to help them and to make them be the best versions of themselves as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And throughout this episode, you've given lots of advice. I kind of want to wrap up by asking you to give one more piece of advice to all of our listeners. And I know we've covered a lot from patient experience and communication and different leadership advice, but maybe just one more final thing that you feel is most important that our audience is able to take away from this podcast. If they forget everything else, what is this last piece of advice you want them to walk away with?
Well, I would say people are key. And it could be patients, it could be, your coworkers, team members, but also yourself. Always remember that we're all here on a journey, and, we always want to do better. We always want to keep evolving and growing. It's just that we all have different interests and different motivations. So always keep in mind your team whenever it is that you want to do whatever it is that you want to do. Like if it's like a new project or marketing campaign, or if it's maybe like a new training for the team, making sure that you're keeping in mind that the team is key, and that taking that time and helping them develop themselves, guiding them, is going to pay off in the long term as well, and especially for your business, right? And then the other thing is just having clarity. I see many practice owners, practice managers, administrators, they're like running around super busy all the time, but I just don't see them taking the time to sit down, maybe block an hour of your time, and just kind of like reflect what it is that I want to achieve. What are my values? What do I stand for? What it is that I believe in. And then once you have that clarity, putting the processes in place so that, again, everything runs smoother and you don't find yourself asking the same questions over and over again because you haven't taken the time upfront to put those processes in place or to figure things out, and then just kind of like going forward and doing what it needs to be done. I think that would have saved so many headaches to a lot of our clients. So that's what I would advise.
All right. So thank you everyone for tuning into this episode of Shorr Solutions, the podcast. Thank you to Ana for being a wonderful guest on this episode. We've shared a lot of great advice, and I hope that you are all able to take something away from this. If nothing else, that last piece of advice that Ana gave you about making sure you have the right people on your team and you have the right processes and protocols in place in your office. So make sure to tune into the next episode, Shorr Solutions, the podcast.
Don't go anywhere just yet. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the latest insights. New episodes are released every 2 weeks. For more valuable information and resources to elevate your practice, sign up for our e-newsletter. You'll get the latest industry updates, expert tips, and exclusive strategies straight to your inbox. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media at Shorr Solutions. If you're ready to take your practice to the next level, schedule a free consult with our team today. Thank you for joining us on Shorr Solutions, the podcast.